Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Red Sparks Crypto Blog for all your Cardano and crypto related news. Thank you to my 20 viewers from yesterday's video, especially those that aren't friends or family, although I do value those too. I didn't see any thumbs up, so hopefully you did enjoy the video, but do leave a thumbs up to let me know that you did. Okay, so this episode will be fairly light. There wasn't too much news that caught my attention, but let's go through it anyway. Starting off with the market, so we have recovered from the dip that may have unnerved a few people from a day or two ago. As you can see here, Bitcoin is kind of just hovering nicely above the 60k mark, 2.5% increase back to above that level. And as long as it stays above 60k, I think I'm happy with that. Let the alts catch up. Ethereum is on a tear, it's doing really well. So well done to Ethereum. Cardano hasn't recovered quite as much as some of the other alts. You see there, it's not even at the $2 mark. So previously, a few days ago, it was $2.20 or thereabouts. And I think people were complaining it was a stable coin. Well, guess what? It's not a stable coin anymore. So I hope you're happy. Yeah, no, honestly, it's not great to see it below $2. I was hoping it'd be a bit higher than that. But at the same time, it's the end of November is what I'm really looking out for. That's when I think the dApps will come out, and we'll talk more about that in just a second. Solana doing good, so well done to Solana for that 5.4% increase. Polkadot's doing good. There's a dogfight happening at number 9 and 10 with Shiba and Dogecoin, so they've been swapping places back and forth for the last few days. I don't really pay too much attention. I know it's all in the news right now, but it's not something that really interests me. My general view is that these meme coins just give the overall crypto sector a bad look as we're trying to be taken seriously by the wider world and institutional investors. Looking at the Bitcoin chart, really the main reason for looking at this is to try and fathom whether or not the bull run is over. So if we zoom out, okay, so this is a 6-month chart, and obviously we've recovered since the low that we had in the middle of July. But the question was this downward trajectory that we've been on for the last few weeks going to continue, or are we going to break back up? So it's kind of hard to say. Let me just zoom in a little bit more to the 1-month mark. We have been going up, and there was a bit of a dip, but hopefully this journey will resume and will continue to go up. Now, for the stock to flow prediction to be accurate, then in I think November he was estimating it to be I think 74,000 or something thereabouts. So if we get to that level in the next couple of weeks, then I think it's safe to say the bull run is definitely on track. So the next few weeks should be very interesting. The ADA chart, yeah, so you see there's a big dip from a few days ago, and we haven't quite recovered, so we haven't gotten them back above that line, whereas for Bitcoin and other coins, they have recovered from that dip. So yeah, that's not great news. More on that in a second. COTI, now this is a coin I was desperately trying to buy yesterday, and I realized it's just not impossible, but pretty hard to buy it in the UK. And I was trying to buy it when things were down here, as I was suspecting things would go back up. And since then, it's gone up about 22%. So it's a shame I missed out on that. I did end up buying ADA instead. That was my panic buy. But yeah, would have been good. But if you did manage to buy down here, then well done to you. Okay, so the Cardano 360 update we had yesterday. I'm not sure what you guys thought of it, but for me it was just a bit of a filler. There wasn't really too much new news in there at all, if any. So there was a recap on the Cardano summit from September, which I'm sure a lot of us would already have watched and been up to date on. So that wasn't anything new. There was Catalyst, and we had a Catalyst update I think a few days ago. And there was the PAB development update that I think everybody was looking out for. I'm not sure if many of you noticed, but this is actually just the exact same video in the mid-month update. So there wasn't actually anything new here. And then good old Pi from Sunday Swap came on towards the end. Always good to see him, but again, there wasn't anything too new. But it does look like that when they do launch their DApp, they will be fully certified under the IOHK certification system that we discussed in yesterday's video. I mean, the best thing about this video for me was actually the comments down below, and down here there was a little bit of a squabble about the PAB, with some parties feeling that there wasn't much of an update and there should be a deadline set as to when it's going to be launched, and others doing the usual reply of, hey, development takes a while, etc. And I think both sides have a valid argument. So it's one of these debates where I feel like both sides were actually correct. And I'd like to think I had some hand in raising the awareness of the PAB within the community. I wrote a blog post about a month ago, Show Me the dApps, this one here. It's my most popular blog post by far. I had 1,000 views. And prior to that, nobody was really talking about the PAB in the Reddit forums. Then I published this, and yeah, it seems like since then there's been a lot more attention on the PAB and getting that launched. And if you're not familiar with the PAB is, this is a useful chart. There's a on-chain and off-chain. On-chain is essentially the smart contract part of it that was launched back in September. So when Charles says Cardano is smart contract enable and Alonzo has been completed, they were referring to this. So this is the key bit that happens on the blockchain and the blockchain itself. And you can think of this as being tamper-proof code because it is on the blockchain. You can't change it and so on. Versus this is off-chain. This takes place on your dApp provider's server. So when you're using a web-based dApp, you're going to connect to their systems, they'll have this running, and then that will, in particular this Plutus application backend here, will prepare your transactions and feed it to the blockchain, and then that will execute your transaction. So where are we with the PAB? Well, it was basically mentioned in this article down here. This integration work is complex and a critical part of Cardano's infrastructure, so we need to ensure it is done correctly. We're continuing to work on the final integrations, and based on the current trajectory, we plan to deliver the integration in November, assuming we don't encounter any critical issues. So my read of that is, hey, we've been a little bit delayed. We encountered a few issues that we had to work through. We're now looking like we're on track for November. We've resolved whatever issues we were having, and provided we don't have any further issues, then November ought to be a safe date. So I would probably set your expectations for maybe the 3rd week of November or thereabouts to have the PAB released. And then the question will be, how long after that will there be a dApp launch? Particularly someone like either Liquid or Sunday, who have been developing for quite a while and who are quite far down the road. And Nigel Hammond in the video did temper our expectations. He said that whilst there might be 1 or 2 early dApp providers on mainnet, we expect that a lot of them will probably want to test out the final PAB first for a couple of weeks before they then launch on mainnet. So it might be that we don't really see too many of the big names launching until January of 2022. So that's just to set your expectations. What does that mean in terms of Cardano price? I guess that's a big concern, given that a lot of pundits out there are expecting the bull run to kind of be over by the end of this year, January, February time. Yeah, I mean, that worst case scenario, that could happen. By the time that we really have a lot of dApps launching on the mainnet, it could also be the end of the bull run. That's if you believe in all of the Bitcoin cycle theory. I mean, I think the jury's still out on that. My own view on this is 2 things. A, it would be great if there's at least 1 successful dApp launch by early December, because investors just need to have some reassurance that all the theory and all the research and all the great talks from Charles and so on is correct. We need some sort of proof in the Christmas pudding, to know that everything that we've said about Cardano is actually correct, and then I feel price will shoot up. So I don't mind if we don't have that many dApps in December, but I do want to have at least 1 or 2 successful dApps that show that Cardano can handle a large number of users. And certainly there is an incentive for some of these dApp providers to launch sooner rather than later. For example, an NFT marketplace and establishing yourself as the de facto NFT marketplace, and the same thing for DEXs. So let's see what happens. And the second thing to mention before I move on is this should mean that early 2020 or 2022 in general should be an excellent year for Cardano, bull run or bear market regardless. I think with everything going on the Cardano blockchain, 2022 should be a really exciting year. Two very quick pieces of news items. Again, there wasn't too much news that caught my attention today, but Bitcoin trumps gold for investors as inflation fears rise. So the JP Morgan analyst that said, we believe the perception of Bitcoin as a better inflation hedge than gold is the main reason for the current upswing, triggering a shift away from gold ETFs into Bitcoin funds since September. The US investment bank thinks ongoing inflation will support Bitcoin's price until at least the new year. You know, everyone who knows about JP Morgan knows that Jamie Dimon is famously against Bitcoin, but nevertheless, he lets his traders now trade in Bitcoin. And this part of the articles was particularly interesting, I thought. Government-backed fiat money is intentionally designed to lose value over time in order to promote consumerism. I don't think a lot of people quite realize that, but that's why we have inflation, because we want to incentivize people to go out and spend money rather than hoarding money. And that's why the economy that we're in really incentivizes people at the bottom to go out and spend the money and drive the economy, and then that money goes into businesses. And the people at the top, the investors, they're smart enough to know that they should reduce their spending of their money, hoard their money, and invest their money. And that's why I've said in one of my articles, investing is a way to build wealth, not spending, obviously, and not saving in bank accounts paying you 0.5% interest. And that's why people say crypto is leveling the playing field. Bitcoin, for example, is a great store of value rather than being inflationary. So that's obviously one benefit. But I think more broadly, it's really improving the financial education and behavior of your ordinary person. So people like you and I, who previously would have been going out and spending or saving in a bank account, we're now actually incentivized to pour as much money as we can into crypto. And you'll see countless stories of on Reddit about people who've given up smoking, given up drinking, become healthier because they want to invest their money in something that will appreciate over time, rather than holding it in fiat, which is designed to be deflationary. Now, one person whose financial education is still on a journey, Ray Dalio, he says he would still choose gold over Bitcoin. So earlier this year, so he's been very sort of cautious about crypto. And early this year, around February, he said he was kind of investigating crypto and trying to learn more about it. And I think he's just an old school investor who understands gold and the traditional markets, and he's just very comfortable in that space, and he's just highly risk averse. I think he'll see over time as gold continues to underperform against Bitcoin, but there's only so much you can do. That old saying, you can take a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. For those of you who are fans of the Netflix hit show Squid Game, there is now a Squid crypto out there, which is trading for, well, $2.34 according to this BBC News article, and it jumped 2,300% in the first few days. The reason why I'm even mentioning this is this was on BBC News of all places. So I think, given what we've seen with Shiba Inu and Dogecoin, I think I'm realizing that anything that has a lot of attention, such as being on BBC News, has a reasonably high chance of actually shooting up down the line. So it's one you might want to consider buying. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor, and knowing my luck, I can't even buy this coin. So I thought I'd mention it to you guys at least. And then the very, very last thing, let's have a quick look at crypto Twitter, where I'm increasingly going to for more up-to-date news. There wasn't anything too exciting, but I see Dan saying Cardano breakout incoming, and then I put a comment, I doubt we will see a breakout till the end of November. I need at least one popular dApp to show successful launch, and I had a few sort of likes on that. And yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that. Let's see what happens. That's it from me. Please give a thumbs up if you like this content, and feel free to leave any feedback, good or bad, down below. Other than that, I hope you all have a great day.